For a few years back in the mid 90s, I thought of going on a trip, and the trip was to go to Alaska. And so finally, in July, or was it June of 1997, I persuaded my dad to join me on a trip to Alaska. We started driving through British Columbia, and we got towards the north in the Peace River area where we took a picnic and we looked over the map and got our stuff organized. And as it is when you're on a trip, you organize stuff as you go. And now we're on the Alaska Highway heading towards Whitehorse and Muncho Lake, among other places. And Dad was at the wheel, and I managed to take a nap for a while until we got to this place, which is Fort Nelson, if I recall. Now, from then on, the third day, I think it was, we got to Contract Creek, where the bulldozers had finally met while constructing the Alaska Highway during the Second World War, and we got to the signpost forest, and also now we're in Whitehorse finally. I don't know where this picture was taken, but it looked really good, and it was on the trip somewhere. And here we are beyond Whitehorse, heading towards the Alaska border. We're going through Kluane, or near Kluane Park. There's Haines Junction. That's a picture of me and my dad. And there was this kind of like ghost town thing made out of log cabins. I think this is at Kluane Lake or somewhere like that. I thought it was pretty interesting and picturesque, so I took a fair amount of pictures, and I climbed inside and took some pictures inside, and there was even somebody left their car there, and see how they get stripped. That doesn't only happen in big cities. Yeah, that one has a skylight. Anyway, I was amazed by how much you could see up there in Alaska, or actually the Yukon, and how beautiful it was. I thought, it was pretty desolate and that there was nothing up there until I went there, and I found that it was the most beautiful place in the world that I had ever encountered to this day. And it's really funny that a week from now, I'm going to be going on another road trip that I was thinking of taking at that time, but have never gone on. And now, 16 years later, I'll be able to go. So I guess in the spirit of the trip that I'm about to go on, I am redoing this video without any copyrighted music on it, so that it will show. Here we are at near Mount McKinley, Denali area, and we had gone to Fairbanks, and I don't know what happened to the pictures of Fairbanks, but I've got them somewhere on file. I'll have to go through my files again and find them, but we jumped a little bit ahead there. This is like the high meadows, the northern meadows and high altitude kind of thing. And this is also in that area near Denali and Mount McKinley and all that. Now we're heading towards the coast, where we're going to a place called Seward. And here in Seward, we went on that's where the cruise ships come in, but we went on a little half-a-day tour of we saw some sea otters, and we saw some glaciers like this one here. And yeah, we went around in the water, and we saw some sea lions, and I think there's some, I don't know if that belongs to the same bunch of pictures, but there it is, more glaciers. And yeah, see, you can see the bits of ice from the glacier in the ocean as it calves off. And see, yeah, we saw whales. We saw some of these, I guess they're humpback whales, and now these orcas, the killer whales. And this is my favorite with the little baby orca. So I had some fun taking pictures of that, and it was a good tour. I think we saw a lot of shorebirds and that were nesting on the rocks, and an abandoned boat. I don't know how that got there. And it's just beautiful. I'd love to go again. See, there's a humpback coming out of the water. I took about 15 photographs of that guy until I got him right. And here we are heading towards Valdez. There's a glacier It's just, I mean, just look at this. It's beautiful. And I don't know if this fits in the same. I try to keep things in chronological order, but sometimes it didn't work out that way. But this is the picture of me and my dad, on that trip. Now I think we're still heading towards Valdez. Yeah, this is going towards Valdez. This is the hill or the mountain before Valdez, where you've got the glacier perched up there in the mountain. And I managed to get real close to this here glacier. I wanted to get. You could see the blue of the air trapped in between the snowflakes, or the crushed and annealed snowflakes. This is Valdez, where they load the oil into the ships. I don't think there were any ships in at the moment, but when I took these pictures, but we weren't allowed behind. Oh, now we jumped ahead. We're on the top of the world highway. This is Chicken, Alaska. Someone told me not long ago that Chicken, what little settlement it is, has burned down, which is kind of sad because this was a picturesque little town. This is the top of the world highway, and you can see why they called it top of the world, because the elevation is up there and you're looking down on everything. And somebody put this Inukshuk right at the highest point on one of the summits. And here we're entering Dawson City. I didn't get any pictures of Dawson City. We jumped right to the Dempster Highway. I don't know why I didn't get any pictures. It was the evening. It was at night. We were tired. I didn't get any pictures there. Here we are at Engineer Creek. That's where we had the worst flies. And now we're heading up the the Dempster Highway. And beautiful country up there. If you're ever in Dawson City, drive the Dempster. It is the most beautiful road, the most picturesque of all places I've ever been. And, you're up here on the plains, and from the plains you get to the Arctic Circle. And it's kind of like it's like a ceremony to be there, to cross the Arctic Circle for the first time in your life. To me, it was a big deal. I don't know how my dad found it, but there I am, standing on the Arctic Circle with a tree that's probably older than me, because they grow so slowly up there in the cold. And here we are. The Mackenzie River Delta is just below, and here we are crossing the Mackenzie on the little ferry that they had down there. That is midnight sun. I believe it was 2 a.m. when I shot that picture. And here we are on the Mackenzie again, and this was our camp up near Inuvik, and this is Inuvik. You can see all the piping is overground because the ground is permafrost. It's permanently frozen. Anything that's flowing through a pipe will freeze. So it has to be heated and above ground. This is how big the flies are compared to the key. And this is the Chuck campground. Chuck means cranberry. And that was our camp. That's where we stayed for, I think, a couple days before heading back down the Dempster. And heading down the Dempster was a trip in itself too. We were having some electrical problems with the truck. It was shorting out. Killed a few bit of wildlife too there. Well, we're heading down, back down, and there are taxis up there at the Mackenzie River Delta. At the Mackenzie River, there are taxis, and you saw how dirty that gets. I enjoyed the Dempster Highway. These are the Ogilvie Mountains, right on the Dempster Highway. And here we are at the place that was named for the World Geophysical Congress of 1958 or something like that. If you can pause it, you can probably read this. And this is what our truck looked like at that stage in the trip. It was looking kind of dirty. And this is the view from up there, I think. Or maybe it was off the top of the world. And I don't know if these are in proper sequence, but they were from the same trip, I can assure you. Here we are in, not Skagway, but Whitehorse. We're camped in Whitehorse for a couple days. Now we're going over the mountains to go down into Skagway, the Chilkoot Pass. And here we are in Skagway, taking a look at what there is to see there. It was an interesting day trip to go down to Skagway and encounter a place called Dai, and I think we're just about done. This was near the end of our trip, and then we headed down the highway to come home.